The worst horror movie I ever saw was fucking great.
Hello and welcome to This May Hurt a Bit. This is a podcast about horror film franchises. My name is James Strayer and this is
John C. Myers.
And today we are talking about Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, which I will always remember being described as such by the legendary Roger Ebert.
An immoral and reprehensible piece of trash that sold more tickets on its opening weekend than any other movie so far in 1984, and that is a very, very depressing commentary. It really makes me sad to think of all those moviegoers spending $4.50, $5, most of them teenage kids, sitting there watching this sad, cynical, depressing movie.
Man.
Yep. An immoral and reprehensible piece of trash. So I thought that was a good way to kind of like open this this episode, because that's where slasher films were at this point.
Right. Yeah. It was in the dwindling golden age, was closing out. While again, it's very pearl clutchy on Ebert's part, because there was a lot of stuff that came out, like the video markets, direct-to-video stuff, a lot of awful stuff happening there. But out of the ones that we've watched so far, I would say this is the cruelest and the most gory.
Yes, definitely the most gory, I think.
It becomes less of a ride than compared to the first three.
Right. He says this after Part 4, but I do know that the people at Paramount were feeling that exact criticism as they were going into this, because, you know, of course, each one is supposed to be the last one, practically. But even the son of Paramount's executive, the guy who was shepherding these, was just feeling all the bad publicity. And I think, you know, it's been documented that Paramount was actually kind of embarrassed by these films. Yeah. But they were making money.
Yeah. And that's wild, because, you know, horror has always been the sort of forgotten stepchild, you know, so that's why you still have this conversation about quote unquote elevated horror and that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, there was also just this issue of dwindling returns on some of this. You know, the last one made a bundle, but like other, you know, we've gone through cycles with all kinds of horror genres, like the torture porn, the found footage, Jared Leto. These things kind of come in waves. The slasher one was kind of in a down.
Going out, yeah.
It was a bear market for slashers.
Right. But, you know, still making money to some degree. And, you know, it is kind of funny to think about this as 1984, I believe 84. This came out. Yeah, 84. And we're seeing the fewer returns on these, but how they had no idea on some level that this would spawn 8 more.
Yeah.
And that's just this franchise. So, you know, the diminishing returns of this podcast, I don't know, you know, but if we're following that formula.
For me, it's for me, it's where I'm starting to get interested, because like, all right, it's basically cookie cutter this whole time, but they tweak it a little bit. And like I said, this is a little bit more grisly in several respects. But you know, apparently everyone was done with this. So now what happens? Where does it go next? How do you beat this dead horse in a way that's exciting?
Right. Now, had you seen this one before?
This was actually, I have seen the last like 10 minutes. Basically, when Trish falls out the window to the defeating of Jason, I remember like it was on TV. It was on like HBO or Cinemax or something, and I was like, all right, I'm alone. You know, parents are upstairs, whatever. Like, I'm gonna check this out. It was almost like one of those like hold your hand over the flame, see how long you can do it. Right. Like I was G. Gordon Liddying myself with front of their pins. I was a little too afraid of it, but because I just want to see what Jason's face looked like,
of course,
under the mask.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, this seems like it's wrapping up, so I'll get to see the face, but I'll get to see they'll probably kill him, and then I'll stop watching after that, so I don't have to see if he comes back, and I'll be safe. You know, this that solid logic.
Right.
So I saw that amount before.
Okay. So you were in for a treat as far as I'm concerned when you hit play on this one. I really enjoy this one. This is kind of the go-to, and I'm a little less up on like the fan lore of this series, but I'm pretty sure this is at least held in the top 2, if not the best. I think some people consider this.
A couple people I know that are into it. Yeah, hold this one up to some regard. My initial viewing of it, I didn't like it as much, simply because it wasn't the ride that it has been. But then when I watched it again, there's a little bit more. I think some of these changes made it a more interesting movie, if not a more difficult to watch in some places movie.
Sure. I mean, let's like that. That's a good place to start. What were some of those different changes that came with this? I mean, to me, the biggest one was the fact that there was a parent in the film. And I was thinking to myself, like, when I watched it this time, I was like, this is the only film with parental supervision in it. There's camp counselors in the other ones, but is this scarier now that like your mom's around and there's still a killer? You know?
Right. Well, I mean, because in the first one, Steve fucks off. Second one, Paul he's more of like, you know, a senior classman. And, you know, he's your floor's RA.
Sure.
He's still a cool guy. But this was an actual parent on the scene, which is new for this series.
Yeah, and I think they knew that considering she meets her demise completely off screen, because I do think that would have been like, I don't know, could you say it's over the line for a Jason film? But like, no one wants to see mom die.
Yeah, for this one, and also like credit to Jason in this one, does not kill a dog.
That's true. There's a dog running around the entire time.
Yeah, Gordon. I believe. Yeah. This one, well, we have like any of the old guard is pretty much gone in terms of the initial behind the scenes stuff. Although we brought back Tom Savini.
That's the big one. Yeah.
After there was some disagreements with the previous makeup artist, he stepped in to replace. But yeah, this is no longer Steve Miner is not involved anymore. Now it's Lil Joe Zito, who's made did a couple of slashers before this. I watched The Prowler, right, and that is pretty grisly as well. But I enjoyed that. And then I did a couple of Chuck Norris movies, Missing in Action, and so a man of many tastes.
The Prowler also, I haven't watched it in a few years, but I do remember, you know, obviously aside from the effects, there's no mystery to it. It's just a guy just walking around. And that's kind of how Jason is at this point. There's no mystery to Jason. Yeah,
although I will say the presentation of Jason in this one is a bit more interesting. Well, interesting is hard, but they do it a little bit different. Whereas you have in, you know, one, obviously we've talked about more of a mystery. Two, you have an idea that it's Jason. Three, like you constantly see him in the distance, like looking at stuff, like he's this presence. In 4, he's not around, but he's everywhere.
Right.
Like, you know, as soon as he wakes from the dead, so to speak, he's out and about, but there's not a whole lot of time of him like stalking in the woods. He's just kind of there, and then he'll pop up and kill someone and then fade back. And he kind of shows up whenever, wherever. So he's less of a tangible guy in this one.
Sure. And played by Ted White, who is 58 years old when he played Jason, which I just cannot imagine. I mean, this guy was around for a long time. He used to do stunts for John Wayne, which rules.
He was a stunt man who's still doing this stuff at 58. And I had read that he was a fan favorite. And I watched him like, okay, like he's certainly good. But then when I saw some of those interviews with him, like in the Crystal Lake documentary, I love that guy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He rules.
Yeah, he's such the type of person that I feel like not enough people give credit to, who are like, he's a journeyman. Like he's a worker. He just like shows up, does the job, does it very well, and he's been around for a long time. I don't think he really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that he had to do in this at all.
No, he did not.
But he is a guy who needed a gig, and I don't say that in a bad way. Like, that's just how the industry works, you know?
And it sounds like he had some butting heads with Joe Zito, and then did not care for Corey Feldman. But
absolutely. But I looked up footage of him. He's still kicking around. He goes to horror cons, which I love. He initially didn't want his name to be associated with this film, but he found, and I'll never not really enjoy this, but like when people kind of find their community in like the horror con circuit, and he shows up and he's absolutely loved by everybody. Like Kane Hodder, who plays Jason in the later movies, loves him. And he came around to it in the end, and I really dig that. Yeah,
I think it's great. We talked about the last episode. It's like metalheads and horror fans tend to be really cool people.
Exactly. So I guess we can dive into a little bit of the play-by-play at least. And I do really enjoy how long it takes for us to get Jason back in this, because I should have marked down where it comes, but it's got to be 17 minutes or so, something to that effect. It makes you want it.
It takes a bit. The first kill happens about 14 minutes in to the whole thing.
Yeah, and so not only do they recap the beginning, the first 3, but then you want to know how he comes back completely. Like you're dying for him to come back, and he just sits up in a morgue.
Yeah.
Which is nobody cares. You just want him back.
Which I didn't again, like I didn't notice the first time I through, but the second time through when they're putting him into the to the drawer, how you can see the little breath come out. Yeah. And I'm like, that was a nice little touch. I didn't notice that right away.
So he's just alive. He just didn't get killed with an axe to the head, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's just what we're doing.
There's no explicit name for what he is.
Right.
It's not like he's a zombie or whatever. Like there's no necessarily set rules for how you deal with Jason.
Right.
But he just is a thing that cannot die. Apparently.
Exactly. Yeah. And we do have, one of the earlier examples of one of my favorite TV stereotypes is the morgue worker eating a sandwich.
I mean, always be eating.
God,
are you working
that.
in a morgue? On a TV show, in a horror movie in particular, like
just eat.
Jam your mouth full of something at all times.
Yeah, I think
hopefully it's food, but yeah.
I think he even puts a sandwich on the body at one point and just picks it back up and eats it. Like, man.
You are either eating or you take a break to eat or whatever. Like it always happens.
Always.
And I'm always just such a huge fan of it.
This guy, Axel, I recognize him from the Police Academy movies.
Yes.
Like early on. It's been a long time since, oh my gosh, there's another podcast right there. Police Academy 1 through 9.
The societal implications of Fackler.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I just recognize him from that and just like some of his slapstick car door humor in that film.
And I just remembered him as it took me a second. It wasn't until I looked up the actor that he's a recurring rabbi character on Seinfeld.
Oh, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there you go.
And of course, I mean, he was uncredited, but his powerful role is homie number 2 in Scary Movie. Who could forget that?
Homie number 2. We might get around to that one.
Oh boy. He makes you want Jason to come back very badly.
Well, he does. There is a jump scare that does make him flip out kind of like Clark Griswold with his string of expletives that just made no sense whatsoever.
Holy Jesus, goddamn! Holy Jesus, jumping Christmas shit!
Immediately, him and a nurse, or he's trying to seduce a nurse in the morgue by playing sexy aerobics videos, because that's what you did in 84.
I guess.
The jump scare makes him flip out. She leaves, and then we get a pretty solid, like pretty brutal first kill with, I don't know, I wrote in my notes, bone saw. I thought I was being all smart because they would have a bone saw in a doctor's office, but everybody calls it a hacksaw, but I don't know the difference. But that was it.
It's I wasn't thinking about the kind of saw it was at the time.
I'm sure.
I just saw a saw go in this guy's throat while Jason spins his head around.
Exactly.
Already, this seems like much more than kind of has been done in the past. Usually it's just stab, done. But this was, Tom Savini had something to prove or to, some scores to settle on this one.
I absolutely agree. Like that opening one was way more brutal than just like spear through somebody, knife into somebody.
And it's tough because you don't necessarily want to cheer on the murder people, but this guy sucked.
Yeah, he does.
He was a gross weirdo. He looked like Christopher Guest in a microwave Beatles wig and just was awful. And it's also though, like it's Jason on his same moral path though. This guy was watching dirty movies. Right there. And Jason's like, no, you watch awful stuff like this, you're gonna get murdered.
So does that include the poor nurse that happens next?
No, that one's just for
That's right.
He's just on a kill streak, which I'm surprised his motivations. Because why doesn't he just hang around the hospital killing people?
Right.
No, he's got to get back home to his shack. I guess he hasn't been there in a while.
Yeah, and I mean, in part, what was it, 3? That was where we kind of noticed his first time killing the people in the convenience store. Mm-hmm. Like that was the first time he went against going after camp counselors.
Right.
So
yeah, he wasn't just on his home hunting ground.
Right. So now he's in the hospital. Gets away there. Several minutes into it that we're just like kind of willing him to come back to life, and he just sits up and takes his first person. I
already like how he looks more inhuman. Like his hands are a lot darker. The nails are all blackened.
Because he's been dead. Or maybe not.
It's a very subtle thing. And not even for that long. Mm-hmm. This is, again, a continuation of 2, 3, and 4 just happened. Boom, boom, boom. After a 5-year pause from 1.
We'll have to get to that, especially there's one part that I want to talk about that at. Yeah, definitely.
I can imagine. Yeah.
From here we cut. I love the sequence with Corey Feldman, actually. Like, he's sitting there playing video games with a giant alien head on, and then he comes out to talk to his mom. Just the way he's dressed with the little ball cap and the alien head and his little hoodie, like...
Just the posture, the body language of it is takes me back.
I mean, he takes me now. I mean,
that's true. If you could take that off, it would be a lot more comfortable for me.
No, I mean, I think Corey Feldman's legit really good in this. And this is the same summer as Gremlins, too.
As Gremlins, yeah.
So he...
Well, Gremlins as well.
Yes, as well, not Gremlins, too. You know, obviously, he's introduced as the character that horror movie fans love. He's the person that's into monster makeup. He's a little weirdo. We're supposed to identify with him, all that kind of jazz. But yeah, I think he's great in this, and I love the introduction of him wearing the alien hat or mask.
And this sort of wholesome family, because it's him. He's the younger brother. He's Tommy Jarvis, the younger brother of Trish Jarvis. And you're introduced to Trish right after the murder in the hospital happens. Smash cut to her and her mom running, and she's talking about how her dad and her mom are divorced, but she's going to go up and see her dad.
Actually, you really should go out there and see him. Yeah, I know. I bet he could stand a visit. What do you think?
I think you're getting horny.
Which I had to rewind a few times. See that? I'm like, why are you using the word horny around your mom? That's okay.
Yeah,
but this is supposed to be the good person. But they have a comfortable relationship. I guess
that's great. They're wholesome in their own way.
Yeah, it's like if the Flanders use the word horny. It's fine.
Yes, yeah, But that is a new thing in the Friday the 13th movies. We now have a family unit. That is kind of nearby, which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But then, of course, that's, we don't want Jason just terrorizing families. So the next cut is a station wagon just full of dead teenagers, just going down there. Whenever I watch a new one of these movies, everybody knows just this introduction scene is just, well, all of you are going to get picked off and you're the fodder for the series type of thing.
Yeah. And they set it up because they move off the camp, but they're like, well, some kids rented a house nearby. Which they had, I like that is one of these examples of they fell in love with the house, the Jarvis house, and that has been used in other movies, but they, rather than find two houses that are close together, they're like, no, we like this house, so let's build a house nearby. And so they built this house for the I think just it was much more like the exteriors, because I think Joe Zito was saying that they kind of trimmed down the size of the house because it costs money to build a house. They didn't get a shoot like they wanted to in there. But so all these kids are coming out for a weekend getaway.
Maybe that's my new goal for finally buying a house in Portland. In this market, I got to make a horror movie and just have somebody build two houses for me, and I'll get one at the end of it. Yeah,
this doesn't really fit the script at all. Oh, trust me, no, it's got to have 4 bathrooms.
Yeah, right. What's this brooding chamber? It's just It's for him.
Yeah. No, I think it's important for my character's development to have a giant media center.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get 6 teenagers, and of course the eye goes directly to Crispin Glover in the back, and he's just so good. Obviously,
he's amazing. I am so glad they did not cast a human being in that part and instead cast Crispin Glover, because he brings a special oddness to it.
And I know everybody kind of says this about the movies that they're on, but evidently, even though this is just Friday the 13th part 4, Crispin Glover was deadly serious about this.
Oh,
and he hung out with the guy who played Teddy as much as possible to make sure that their banter was real and their improv was real. And it does kind of come through, really.
Yeah. You get a sense, because Ted just breaks the streak of first letter ED characters, because you had Ted, you had Ned, that were fine. We talked about them, but this guy sucks.
Yep.
He's just a piece of shit, and you get a sense of a rapport between them,
of course, because
otherwise, it's all this guy does is insult Crispin Glover. Why would you hang out? But they do kind of have a vibe.
They get a back and forth,
which I enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to call you a dead fuck but your friend, and really mean it?
It says you're a dead fuck. What? A dead fuck? A lousy lay. Dead. Oh, I see. Oh, don't hold it back from me, Doc. I can take it. Give it to me straight.
Yeah, he calls Jimmy, played by Crispin Glover, said his girlfriend broke up with him because he's a dead fuck. And apparently that was improv. But that is also this movie. Like, it's Friday the 13th, dead fuck. That is Friday the 13th series. Like, it's just fucking and death.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Friday the 13th, colon,
dead fuck. Well, I'm sure we're not far off from that. I mean...
That actually sounds, though, more like a cop movie.
Yeah.
Like Clint Eastwood is dead fuck. I guess it's Joe Zito, so it'd be Chuck Norris. But.
Yeah. So the station wagon full of future dead teens drives by a hitchhiker, and this hitchhiker holds up a sign. She's trying to grab a ride, as hitchhikers do. And she gets stabbed through the back of the neck while squeezing her banana, and then we just sort of never see her again. But I was actually really taken with the look of her for some reason. I think it reminded me of like someone from Heathers or something like that. And I looked up the actor, and her name is Bonnie Hellman. Mm-hmm. She has been working absolutely consistently since the early 80s up until 2022 in tiny bit parts in TV and film.
Wow.
She's just, again, the journeyman, like the worker.
That
like,
rules.
She's
that guy actor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's the nurse here and there. Like, she's been working for 40 years doing stuff like that. And I love that, man. Like, she must just love being on set. Well, I'd like to believe that. Maybe she's just like, oh God, I can't believe it.
Yeah, just I got bills to pay, like whatever. I'd say this is an example of where I was kind of feeling like this movie was a bit crueler, because this is this more heavyset person holding a sign. I like the sign that said like Canada, or love or whatever. Yeah. And then the back, if she misses it, it says fuck you. But then she's just eating this banana and gets stabbed and is squeezing this banana. Again, this very like sex and death kind of thing. But it's not like the couple in 3 was lovingly portrayed, but this for some reason just felt a little bit mean. I think it's because of how much it lingers on the death. But again, it does in 2. But I don't know. Something about it just felt like you just had this character here just for the cast to make fun of, and then you killed her. It just seems a bit mean. Yeah,
and also like... Not that anybody deserves the Jason death, but she's such an innocent bystander.
Yeah, she's just there.
Yeah.
She's eating healthy, and Jason's like, no.
Yeah. It cuts to them at the houses, and the 2 of the girls have a conversation about sex, and one is more experienced than the other, which, of course, the one who is more experienced will probably die. But it does start... In my mind, it started to kind of set up Trish as our final girl, because you're kind of always on the lookout for that role at this point in the movie. And if one expresses the idea, oh, I haven't done much sexually yet, then she's our hero.
She is a fawn. Mm-hmm. She is just this tender, like, I don't know anything about anything. And, oh, golly gee, this horrible world. And I'm so delicate. You're absolutely going, this is the one that's going to become a hardened killer by the end.
I took from that just like what we'll find to be a bait and switch of the final girl. Because at that point, I mean, that's another interesting idea. It's like by 84 has the concept of the final girl been like so ingrained in these kind of movies that they wanted to upend that in an early scene.
Well, it also makes me wonder, that's some kind of thing, since there have been so many of these, if that is some of the reasoning that like this one is so much more, I feel like, sex forward than the other ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone, like Crispin Glover is talking about being horny. Which, I mean, screenwriting 101, don't tell me he's horny. Show me he's horny.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? Don't.
Yeah,
please don't. Actually, just let him just tell me he's horny.
I don't know. A lot of people would dig that if it was Crispin Glover.
Yeah, it's really much more like upfront about, whereas the first one, like, it's there. People die while they're having sex, but there's been so much sex talk up to this point. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if that's, like I said, I don't know if that's a virtue of it being like, well, we got to push this because this is, this is a dwindling thing now. And let's really, make it sex forward so people are excited about it. If it's a commentary of the nature of the consumption of the 80s, or if Joe Zito is actually just that cartoon wolf from the Tex Avery cartoons.
Right.
And just they had to keep redoing takes because his head would turn into a giant steam whistle.
Exactly.
But this one's a lot overtly hornier than the previous one.
It's hornier and bloodier, definitely. Both of them. Now we're back to all the teenagers and they're walking through the woods. We see twins on bikes approach just as Teddy says something about needing new people.
First rule of love, never get rejected by the same girl twice. I mean, that's useless. If you want to make a fool out of yourself, always do it with someone new.
Well, I don't know anybody new.
Well, sex is a great way to meet them.
The literal Doublemint twins show up. Like they were Doublemint twins at one point.
Yep, on bikes. Your initial thought if you watch movies like this is just like, oh, 2 more for the gristle mill type of thing. But I will say, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, like The addition of these two kind of thins it out in a bit of a way, because everybody got a little bit hard to tell apart after a while. Once they're like dancing and partying and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to say there was too many, but at the same time, like, we did hit a little bit of a wall for me. It gets a little meandery, like when we're all hanging out and the teens are trying to like pair off and that kind of stuff. So part of me is just like, do we need two more? Especially since one of them gets like killed off screen, I believe.
It's an interesting way to sort of introduce drama, because you have this group of friends that so far the only people that have really engaged with each other have been Teddy and Jimmy, talking about how Jimmy is bad at sex.
Dead fuck.
And then Sarah and Samantha talking about how Sarah hasn't had sex. And that's it. Like, there's not really a lot of internal group dynamics, but injecting these new people in here, all of a sudden, you have eventually, vying for the himbo Paul, his affection. Tina's weird psychological game of just hopping from boy to boy and the other one feeling bad. Like, there's some interesting interplay happening there.
Sure. Do you think that with the addition of these two women that this movie still does not pass the Bechdel test?
I didn't, I didn't think about that.
Since they're all vying for.
Yeah, and they all, they're never not talking about anything other than dudes. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Oddly enough, a Friday the 13th movie might fail that test.
Yes.
Wow. Never thought I'd live to see the day.
Exactly.
But
the bit about skinny dipping just seems to thrill everybody except for Jimmy. And there is just, I don't want to be the guy that says that everything that Crispin Glover says is hilarious, but it just is kind of true.
Come on in!
Oh, no, we have no suits.
Yeah, because it's very innocent, but at the same time, I don't know.
It's super sincere when he says it. I completely buy it.
Very sincere.
And then we get to Tommy fixing an engine on a car, which
before that,
sure.
I do appreciate that. So this was a big deal breaker for the one of the actresses who played the twins. I think it was Camilla Moore. Like, read for one line, and they're like, "Oh, okay, thanks," but then saw that she had a twin, and they're like, "Wait a minute." Let's do that. But they weren't kind of uncomfortable with the nudity. They kind of got talked into it. But then I guess when they were doing the fishing scene, or the skinny dipping scene, that all the dudes were like, yeah, sure, we'll go naked too. Why not? And I do like that moment because, for a couple of reasons. On the way down, that Paul, Sarah's boyfriend, has a polo shirt tucked into tiny gym shorts, which is a look I think we need to bring back.
That's great.
And then when Teddy gets naked and runs in, Paul gives him a hand. And it's nice to see like bros supporting bros about their penises. Just
exactly.
Like, hey man, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You've got one of those too.
Nice work.
Lift each other up. Don't tear each other down.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Teddy does not take that lesson, which is why what happens to him later happens to him later.
There you go.
Corey Feldman shows up with Trish. Trish is wearing a bathing suit. And Trish is like, no, thanks. I'm overdressed for this. And the line of when they're leaving is,
Some pack of patooties, huh?
Pack of patootsies.
Pack of patootsies.
Pack of patootsies.
Pack of patootsies.
I'm not going to remember that one. I'm not going to put that in my vernacular. No.
Yep. They don't write them like that anymore.
So yeah, on their way back, the car breaks down and Tommy starts to attempt to fix the engine. This does call back to in earlier drafts of the script. He was not just supposed to be a makeup effects person, but also like a little bit of an inventor type of kid. And he's very mechanical and all that kind of stuff, which plays into an alternate ending that they didn't do for the end of Jason, but we can talk about that probably later.
Yeah.
Which sounded,
that would have been so cool. But I totally understand the reasosoning against it, but man, that would have been so cool.
Yeah. But here we get introduced to another I called him in my notes like new tough guy for a while until I learned his name was Rob. And he's so impressive that he hunts bears, evidently.
Yeah.
And
he is one of the dumbest characters. like introduced in this series when it's kind of revealed what his deal is, and then just how ineffectual the whole thing is.
Yeah.
Like, why is this guy even here? This guy sucks. And no offense to the actor, like he's fine. I'm just like, that character is dumb.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he shows up to basically be the set piece later on with her in the tent. So you get the fake out. Yeah. They take him back to their place, and just like any kid, I mean, I remember doing this when I was a kid. Like, you show off the new adult to like your bedroom, like all your toys, all your things that you're into, like try to get their attention.
Yeah. And it's a little funny because, well, first I like that when they pick him up, he gives that story about,
What are you hunting for up here?
Bear.
Anybody up at the lake today?
You can't be hunting for bear.
How about kids? Are any kids?
And then he's just like, hey, are there any kids around? That's something you want to hear from a guy you just picked up. Like,
Right.
No, any parties? Any children hanging around?
Yeah.
But when he takes him upstairs, so I guess they named him Tommy in a little bit of a nod to Tom Savini.
Right.
But how does that feel when you're Tom Savini? It's like, okay, so we're going to pretend this kid is just awesome at making things the same way you are. Like all the stuff that you've poured your heart and soul into, a child can do that, right?
Yeah.
No problem.
All this work that you're doing, like an 8-year-old does it. Cool.
It's not a big
Right.
deal. But yeah, it is cool. And he shows him a little puppet that he made that was very impressive.
I mean, I'd be impressed if I went to somebody's house and like the kid, an 8-year-old, was making that kind of prosthetics. Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally just remember being a kid and being like, well, adults are going to want to see this.
I have
cool.
all of my Transformers lined up with their weapons right next to them.
I bet you haven't seen a Lego thing built like this.
Then we cut to probably the most famous scene of the film, the Crispin Glover dance scene.
Yes.
Which I don't know if there's anything to be said about this. It hasn't already been extolled, but I mean, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched the movie and you just like hearing people talk about movies, like I implore you, just go watch the YouTube.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. I'm sure all the outtakes are. And evidently that's just how Crispin Glover like danced in clubs around town, which I buy completely.
Yeah, it's hard to separate sort of the meta aspect of it because you know it's Crispin Glover, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think even in watching it, it doesn't seem like a bit.
Totally agree.
That's what Jimmy's doing. It's not presented. It's presented as being silly, but it's not presented as like, it just seems very, again, sincere.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's very sincere.
And that'll always win points for me. But did you by chance bother to look up the band that was playing in that scene?
It was, well, initially it was going to be AC/DC, and then they couldn't get the rights, so it was Lion.
Lion. And do you know their 2 other hits?
I don't.
Okay, so one of their hits was the Transformers the Motion Picture cartoon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Transformers. The other one was in a little known film called The Wraith, which we just recently watched on one of our other Bad Movie Club nights. I can't tell you which song it was, but that made me laugh because when I was just like, of all songs, The Wraith.
Yeah, why not? Which actually, same with this, we recently, that same movie group, we just watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. And this is true of so many of the movies that we watched. I think one of the things that I like about Corey Feldman in this is that he's allowed to be a child.
Yes.
I feel like so often in movies now, like kids got to quip and do all this stuff. And he's a little kid. I like that interaction with his mom at the beginning.
Mom, I got 98,000. How many robots is that? 35.
It just felt very genuine. For being a Friday the 13th movie, it was, cinema verite.
But on top of that, too, is like, if that character was written now, in the video game he was playing, he said he got 37 kills on Zaxxon or whatever early on, it would be like, at the hour 15 mark, he would be using that video game skill to win the day. And like, it's not like the kids can just be kids and do kid things. It's just like, if we're going to show it, we got to show how he like,
it's got to serve the plot later.
Yeah.
Which is otherwise people are going to get confused.
Yeah. Which also, again, that's another reason why I like the ending of this film and not the other ending that they had potentially chosen, because it's just like, he's just a kid. Yeah.
It's a little too much for an 8. If he was a teen, maybe. But
right. Yeah, and this is the bit where I got a little bit like I get the idea of like more drama being introduced, but it just got a little meandery, and I was just like, all right, kids, just do your thing.
Well, and this is sort of what I'm saying with it being less than a ride, because you spend a lot more time with the kids. It's not all just like, well, we're hanging out, but we're talking about Jason and this stuff. It's these weird interpersonal relationships that start happening with the twins, because one of them clearly has a thing for Paul and is driving a wedge between Paul and Sarah. And then Teddy's trying to flirt, and, Jimmy is feeling bad. And then it ends up kind of, after Paul rebukes Terry's thing, she comes over to Jimmy. Like, there's this chamber drama happening right there. But yeah, so rather than just sort of like tiny little moments hanging out, it's like interspersed with Jason killing. It's a lot of chilling with these people, which I think makes their deaths, and particularly like we talked about with the case of Sarah, while more and frequently more gruesome, because you're seeing the gore a lot longer. It's not just like quick cutaway. You're kind of spending time with it, but you've gotten to know these people a bit more, and they're not. These aren't, fully fleshed out 3-dimensional things, but they're less flat than, for what like little humanity we're giving credit for Shelley having in the last one. Like, yeah, they've tried to flesh these people out more.
Right. And I think that's I don't know if I'm using the word Venn diagram correctly, but like that's the classic thing in slasher movies. It's just like everybody says that they want to make the movie where everybody cares about the characters so that you have more empathy for when they die, which is extremely valid. And there's been like lots of interesting like papers written on the idea of like horror is an exercise in empathy because you feel bad when somebody like goes down. But then how do you write a character that you actually do care about without getting bored? And how do you like write their interpersonal drama? I think for this one in particular, I just got like, I get what they were going for, but I just got a little bit bored because I was just like, oh, they're just like fighting amongst themselves over dudes, you know? But it is exactly, I get what they're going for.
Yeah, and it's absolutely what would happen, particularly when you have characters like Paul, who's totally this like non-entity. He's just this himbo that's there, and all you know is that Samantha likes him. There's not a lot to go on other than just
I kept forgetting about Paul.
Drama,
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a handsome dude, but I kept completely forgetting about him.
Well, it's the same thing. Like they don't really flesh out Doug as well, Sarah's boyfriend. Like he's just kind of there,
right? Which
doesn't really. I think Jason hates him most of all for some reason,
right?
And we'll get into that, but yeah. So I mean, because you're trying to build a chamber drama and flesh people out, but there's still a lot of stuff left by the wayside, so you can't. You're really focused on Teddy and Jimmy,
right?
For good or ill.
Yes, when things are not going your way on a vacation with potential friends and hookup people, you go on a night swim, a nude night swim in Friday the 13th. I mean,
basically, there's not a problem that can't be solved by just angrily getting nude. Like just.
Yeah.
Other than getting arrested for public nudity.
Exactly.
Like that doesn't solve it. But
yeah. This is just part of it, but we'd be remiss if we don't talk about poor Judy Aronson in this kill scene. So she ends up swimming out to an inflatable raft, and she gets up in it, and she's just sort of lounging around and looks kind of like peaceful and comforting and freeing and all that kind of stuff. And Jason comes out of the water, holds her down, and stabs her up through the boat. Now, this is also the first kill of our protagonists, right? Of our teenagers. My goodness, what this poor woman went through in this. So they were shooting this in January.
God.
Which I don't care if you're in California or not, but January, middle of a lake, middle of a night, she's nude. Like hanging out in a raft.
It's cold.
Yeah. So there's a great diagram of it. So she's basically like, they had to create like a fake body that started just below her shoulders that gets stabbed, but the rest of her entire body was floating perpendicular to the water, and her shoulders and head were up in the raft. And so her entire body was submerged. For anybody who is listening that hasn't worked on video production, there's an old adage of the shortest period on a set is between action and cut. And it's basically you're just waiting around for departments, and it's a lot of work, and each department has to get their shit together.
Yeah.
But she was just submerged in this water in the middle of the night for hours on end. And it got to the point where, I mean, she's an absolute professional, so she was probably just like, I can't say no, I can't say no, I can't say no type of thing. And so when she finally expressed discomfort, you have to believe that that's already like 5 levels past discomfort, you know? And Ted White, the man who plays Jason, came to her rescue and said, if you don't allow her to get out of here, I'm quitting. Like I'm walking off the film. And actually, I think there was an interim threat. It was you need to let her out, and Zito just said, like, you stick to the killing, I'll stick to the directing, or something like that.
Yeah.
And look, I've been on plenty of sets where like we're losing time, we're losing we got to go, but man.
And so many directors in the past have put people in danger. Yeah, I appreciate Ted White is sticking up for this person, because this is also like a young neophyte in the industry or whatever. So it's probably, like you said, is like, well, I just got to, keep my head down or whatever. But she was getting very uncomfortable and like wanting to cry, something like that. And kudos to Ted for sticking up, because, I have heard a story about a local production that involved rain towers and the actors turning blue. And the producer walking off set and calling the ambulance and stuff like that. And the director trying to be like, no, just 5 more minutes.
Right.
Because I understand, like you said, you want to get that shot, but sometimes these are human beings you're dealing with.
Yeah, and every time you do the kind of like, just 5 more minutes, like, you know that you're getting close, and this could be the just 5 minutes that gets you there.
Yeah.
But, man, I don't know. She ended up
but it's like
getting hypothermia.
You could get out of water.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't put a dummy in there.
Right.
But
Yeah, I mean, that's, man, I love Ted White so much because that's just such a gold medal on his history of just being a consummate, like, professional, like, I'm a working man, like, and it's a very physical job what he's doing. So he's extra careful. Later on in the death scene in the shower, he was very conscious of the young man whose like head he had to like dash against the thing, and he insisted there be a pad behind it and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I appreciate that guy.
He's like the cool version of Brad Pitt stuntman, or like more human version of Brad Pitt stuntman in that. More reasons to love Ted White.
Ted White.
But yeah, it's a brutal. A lot of the kills in this involve the knife poking out from the person. Like, it felt like Tom Savini, like, hey, people loved when I stabbed Kevin Bacon.
Right.
We're going to find different ways to do that. And because it feels like it's always like, it's not just Jason coming from above. He's got to go below the raft. He's got to go behind the woman's head so the knife comes out the neck. It's a lot of like wanting to do that same kind of trick. And whatever, it was fun. But I was noticing that happened a lot in this.
Definitely. Yeah. And at this point, her boyfriend can't find her, swims out into the middle of the lake.
Oh boy.
There's a weird like blocking thing where it's just like Jason ends up stabbing him with the spear gun right in the groin and lifting him high in the air. It's so good.
Brutal.
This is where I started thinking, we're 4 films into this franchise now. It wasn't the dick stab that made me think this necessarily, but like Jason has arrived. Part 1, it's Pamela. Part 2, Sackhead. Part 3, halfway through, he's got the hockey mask. Part 4, he's all hockey mask, all brutal. Like, this is Jason's going to work.
Well, think about it. He died. And he's like,
so he's reborn.
I'm just having fun now.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, this is my time to shine. I'm feeling myself.
Yep.
He's got headphones on, listening to Katy Perry's Roar.
Are you saying he had to die to truly live?
That's true. That is what I'm saying.
That's where he is right now. And because, it just occurred to me at that point, maybe it was just like the ridiculous shot of him holding the guy up on the spear gun. And I was like, Jason's here. This is our fully formed guy.
Superhuman. I mean, even more superhuman. Just definitely, like I said, like a really brutal kill that they hang out on. I feel like in the past, they'd just be like, Jason would shoot him in the nuts and you'd see this quick. And then, you'd be left to imagine nut pain.
Right.
Where this, boom, you're living it.
We cut back to the partygoers. Teddy's found an old nudie movie and sets up a projector. Who doesn't love like an old-fashioned stag film type of thing?
Yeah, which I love this. Ted just keeps getting shot down. And he said, one of his advice to Jimmy is, you don't get humiliated by the same girl twice.
Right.
And true to his word, he gets constantly humiliated by different people.
That's true.
Okay, he's maybe got an in with the other twin, with Terry. Or Tina, one of them, whatever. And he's like, you know what'll seal the deal? If I make fun of another one. If I
is that what negging is? Yes, something to that degree.
Early pickup artist, Teddy.
Right.
Which is it's funny because like that is as far removed from them as the aerobics thing is to us now.
Right.
But yeah, so they're watching this old stag film. As we've seen already, watching that kind of stuff is going to get you.
All you got to do is just watch it.
He just knows. Yeah. He's the head of the PMRC.
Yes.
At this point, Jimmy and the other twin have peeled off. She has set her sights on Jimmy, and they go upstairs. Her sister leaves her with Teddy. She does not care for it. She's like, I'm going. This sucks. I'm leaving. It's raining out, but I'm going to go. Which again, shooting in the rain in the winter, great time. Jason shows up, and you think it's going to be an off-camera kill because, he shows up, and you see a flashlight, you see these silhouettes, and you see her getting stabbed, and they just thump that body against the house, but no one inside reacts.
It's so funny.
But it's just
so funny.
I was not expecting how brutal like that. You just feel the weight of it hitting the side.
You do, but you can also it's so clearly a dummy. Which I'm not making fun of it. Like, it's great. Like, but you absolutely do feel the weight of it. And it made me laugh as soon as the dummy hit the side of the house. So it worked. And we get the side bit about Trish taking refuge in the tent from the bear fighter guy, and he walks up and scares her and like cuts open the tent, which is pretty great. And of course, like I rewatched the trailer after I watched this, and like they use some of those shots of him, the silhouette of him standing outside the tent with a machete, which is great. But it's just for that jump scare. It's
odd because the final girl in this, like Trish and Rob, are just so disconnected from everything else.
It's true.
And it's not like in 2 when they all go to the bar and stuff's starting to pop off with the people left at home and they come back to this. They've never really been involved with everyone. They've just been in their own little movie, and then, I guess we'll meet up with people after the death. After you guys all die, we'll show up, but we don't want to be there ahead of time.
It does feel like a different movie. And that does, I always notice it in these movies where someone finally finds the first body, an hour and 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And otherwise, we're just seeing people who have like gone out on their own getting picked off. Now it's people in a completely different story, practically.
Yeah.
Jimmy hooks up with one of the twins and is assured that he's not a dead fuck. And, that basically seals his fate for the rest of the movie,
Right.
Sorry, bud.
Because the one thing, Jason hates when you fuck.
Yeah.
But he really hates when you're good at it.
Right. Yes.
He does not care.
No, does not. And then, I mean, again, doing the pointing out the Crispin Glover line, but...
Hey! Ted, where the hell's the corkscrew?
Is so good. But yeah, Jimmy gets a corkscrew in the hand and then a knife to the face. And I don't know if you've got the Scream Factory box set, but the outtakes are so good. And evidently, Crispin Glover was predictably so excited to film this scene, and there are takes of him just like mugging and just like going for it, and good on him. But yeah, that was the scene he was most excited for, of course.
I absolutely can believe that, and it's great, but it's again like another situation of like, well, this is a J scale where someone actually screams and like reacts. It does just silently does.
Right.
I mean, same thing with Paul outside. No one responds to this. There's like some sound barrier in the woods. We're just, it's fine. We can't hear anything. We're all fine.
Yeah.
Where the Stag movie is way too loud.
Yeah.
Because Teddy does not hear anything. And I love the whole thing about how, and I don't know for what scenes it is, but how the actor that played Ted, Lawrence Monason, was like, well, I'm trying to be an actor. I'm trying to do things that are real. And Teddy got high. So maybe I should be high. And apparently it was just a miserable experience for him, which I absolutely can understand. That sounds awful.
And he even said that he is an anxious high person. So like you don't walk onto set for your own death scene as an anxious high person.
That was a mistake. But yeah, he that does not, like I said, I'm not sure for what bits it is, because he's kind of goofy in several things, because his character is supposed to be drunk and high after being rejected by everybody.
Right.
With his one line about
I want to give Teddy Bear a kiss.
So then someone gets pulled out of a second story window.
This might, and I always feel weird to have like my favorite kill, but this is this absolutely rules, just because I like the way it looks. Because the twin is looking out the window. Jason reaches through, pulls her out, and just that shot of him just tossing her, because it seems so effortless, and just like the light from behind in the rain. And unfortunately, I think they go a little hard on the slow mo a little bit later.
Sure.
If this was the only slow mo shot, I'd be so excited. But she hits a car. And the windows blow out of the car. It's not even like the beginning of Lethal Weapon where someone falls off of like multi.
Right.
It's just like a second story, but it just rules. It's just, again, like these deaths, you feel them, the weight of that, or like being slammed up against that.
And I
even
love
Crispin Glover, like it seems like less of a ride and more like teens getting brutalized.
Completely, yeah. I mean, and even like the framing of that shot is really beautiful too. Like there's the tree, there's the lightning, like he's completely on the right side of the frame and he just like flings her out. Like, I don't know, like it's a pretty well done shot.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I think that's why it might be my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, they go a little bit hard with the slow-mo later. But
sure.
That's great. And again, no one hears that. No one hears like all windows of a car just exploding.
Right. Yep.
Because, well, several of them are dead. After Jimmy goes, Teddy is still watching his dirty movies and thinks he hears a noise, goes to investigate, stands in front of the screen. The movie runs out, so he's just being illuminated by the projector and gets stabbed through the screen. Again, Jason's stabbing through something, but and finally Teddy goes.
Yeah. Rip Teddy.
Meanwhile, upstairs, Sarah and Doug are finally commiserating. Doug, very much, it wasn't till his hair was wet, played by actor Peter Barton. He's like Jim Henson's Robert Zadar babies. Just amazing job. And he apparently was just coming off of a sci-fi series on network television called like The Powers of Matt Starr or something. What was it called? That
sounds right.
Amy Steele from part 2 was on that show and was like, you know what, you should. He didn't want to do it. He did a movie with Linda Blair called Hell Night that he didn't really like doing.
Seen that
a couple years previous, and she was like, "It's Friday the 13th, man. Like you'll be a part of something. Like this is the last one.
Yep.
Go out on top." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And then there were a bajillion more, but they fool around in the shower. She goes to get changed, and Jason just destroys this guy.
Again, it's weird talking about your favorite girl, but like there's something about this one where it's so primal, where it's just like he just like crushes his face. And
yeah, I mean, like Jason and Ted White even said that in and how much this was him, or just in the script. It was like, my weapon's my hand. Jason usually is a tool user,
right?
he's that level of great ape. But in this one, he's much more hands-on, and he just crushes that kid and just smashes through the shower and just fucks him up. What? And he's been a non-entity this entire movie.
That's the other thing. He's barely done anything, and he gets his face crushed in a shower. And I do love it's not just a couple of frames. Like, it lingers probably a little bit longer than they want it to. But like, there's the classic, it cuts, and then there's a dummy type of thing. So Jason is clearly like pushing in on like a rubber face, but I don't care. I love that stuff so much.
Well, and it's funny because you talk about like likable and watching unlikable characters get killed and wanting to like likable characters, and this guy kind of being an entity, but like he was, as far as characters these kind of movies go, like he was a decent enough guy because you never got the sense that he was trying to pressure Sarah into anything.
Exactly.
It was kind of like when she. And that little exchange with them on the couch where she's like,
"Do you mind sleeping in the bottom bunk tonight?"
Why, you want to sleep in the top?
No.
Kind of felt a little genuine to me, which was not something I was expecting from Friday the 13th.
I agree,
This tenderness, but...
and he does nothing to pressure her or anything.
Golly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of a Donny Osmond ass-looking dude, but that speaks to his sort of innocence of a character. But sorry, you had premarital sex, so Jason is fucking you up.
And while this is going on, we get a backstory on Rob the Bear Fighter. I don't know why I keep like enjoying calling him Rob the Bear Fighter, but
because that's way more interesting than what he is.
Yes, exactly. So he's the brother of Sandra Deer from Part 2. So this is the first time, that we've had a tie back except for the whole like previously on.
Yeah, they're not directly.
Right.
Other than like from 1 to 2, you have a bit of a tie back with Alice. But there's no tie with Ginny from 2 into 3, and like all you've seen at the beginning of this one is just flashbacks. There's no indication of what happened to the final girl that went insane at the end of 3.
Right. You remember Friday the 13th characters by how they died, basically. So she was killed by Jason with a double spear through the bed with the boyfriend on top. So
she was the one with Sexy Gallagher that wanted to go see Camp Crystal.
Exactly. So this is where I wanted to talk continuity here. So I know this is a fool's errand, but it's just fun to think about. So this guy is on a revenge quest for something that happened, I think, 2 nights ago, maybe 3 nights ago. Don't get me wrong. My sisters are listening to this. I would go out there looking for Jason immediately too. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, in the interest of franchise filmmaking. So Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4 happen on the next nights.
It's like 2 days later, because he at the end of 2 ends like during the day, and it's like that next night it starts. So it's a couple of days. It's not enough time for him to have done a whole bunch of research or
I'll give it a couple of days, but and a whole bunch of newspaper clippings, because newspapers come out the next day.
It would have made more sense for him to be like, but someone at the end of 1,
whatever, hand wave.
But then that's
all that kind of
Voorhees,
stuff,
which I didn't realize because I'm just so used to knowing her as Pamela Voorhees, that this was the reveal of her name in this one when you see the gravestone, which is a bit of a sad button on all that, because who made that gravestone for her.
Oh, right. Who made Pamela Voorhees' gravestone?
Is she actually home there, or did she move away and they just buried her not where she lives now? I don't know.
But again, that's a great example of I would rather think about that in my head than a 6-episode series on Shudder about the history of the person who made the Pamela Voorhees grave.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of time left. And like the earliest Jason killed someone was too. So if you want to have someone that had a vendetta against Jason, and Joe Zito had said that he didn't really consider it being like that Sandra exactly, but I don't know. It's the whole writing of this is interesting because they and I never find this gentleman's name specifically. The guy that wrote it is it's credited primarily now to Barney Cohen, but the story is Bruce Hidemi Sakow. He never gets brought more than that in the writing thing of it, because apparently they talked to Joseph Zito about doing this, and he was like, well, I don't know. And they're like, well, you can write it too. And he was like, yeah, I'm a writer too. But it was basically like he secretly hired Barney Cohen to do it and would talk to Phil Scuderi, who's like one of the last remaining original guys. Like he was one of the 3 theater owners that helped put up the money for Sean Cunningham's one, to like talk story. And then he would relay that to Barney Cohen, and Barney Cohen would write something. So it was this weird game of telephone to get it done. And they got into all kinds of trouble with the Writers Guild when they found that out. But it is interesting that I don't think everyone is obsessed with lore and continuity the way that we are now. With like shared universes and stuff. And it's also a Friday the 13th movie, and they probably just went, who cares?
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing, because like that kind of continuity nerd stuff is way more prevalent now.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least we just didn't hear about it before because we didn't have the stupid internet. That's why. Yeah.
I mean, I remember, man, back in the day, like when the first Lord of the Rings movie came out, like someone showed me this website of people that pointed out all the things that were wrong with it. And it wasn't just like, well, Tolkien would have had it this way, but it's like, oh, if you notice the clouds are going this way in this shot, but the other way in this shot. And it's like, who cares?
Yeah,
and then
movie magic, actually, buddy.
But then that became movie criticism for a while, where it's just like, this trope and cinema sins. And
yes.
Yeah. It's like, okay, that's what we're doing
to do with that. The first example of my idea that there was other lore was a Splinter of the Mind's Eye from Star Wars, between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. I was like, there's more story here, but this doesn't connect to this, and like all that. It blew my 8-year-old brain.
It expanded your universe.
It did, yes. So yeah, Rob's just a guy now. Like he's fine. He's on a revenge quest. Like that's actually, again, that's something new for this. So yeah, we'll just take it.
I mean, I'm always kind of a sucker for trying to introduce a Van Helsing type character of like, I've secretly been hunting this guy for a day, but
just you wait. And I will. That's all I'll say there.
Okay. Or Dr. Loomis type of, a foil. And it's interesting they tried to bring that up in the last one. Like, we should probably do this. But then, like I said, this character ends up being so stupid and ineffectual that they probably shouldn't have bothered.
Right. Yeah. They tried. So yeah, we're back to Jason in the shower. Sarah walks in, finds him slumped over the glass. I thought that was actually really effective shot. That's just one of those like that actually like made me cringe in a good way. Like that was well done.
Man, you are pulling for Sarah.
Yes.
Just like, oh, you're so nice. And like, oh, things are going well for you. Cause she has that moment where, he's like, that was great. She's like, I'm in love. And you're like, oh, honey, no.
That's exactly what you were talking about earlier. A moment that did work for me. Because I'll take sincerity over everything. And you can tell that she does care. And her performance is really good in that moment where she's just like, oh, she just like had sex for the first time in a shower. And now she's in love. And I'm like, oh, careful, but good for you.
And it's funny, in that clip we played earlier of Ebert, like he and Siskel go on in that review. And Ebert talks about how like, the message of this movie is don't try to do anything because you will die and whatever. But I don't think that's the worldview this movie presents. But I think as brutal and cruel as I think this movie is in a lot of ways, like it does make you kind of, when it highlights these moments, and maybe it's just because I'm a horrible old man now, but you see these kernels of humanity that are there. Like particularly with Sarah, like the shout out to Barbara Howard, because it gives this slasher movie character depth.
Yeah.
But it makes it way more horrible, but it doesn't feel, I didn't feel it was as cynical as they were making it out to be.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it obviously is designed to elicit these responses, but I think it was just like the performance didn't feel like treacly or whatever. Like they felt like actual human beings. And
right. I bought it.
For good or ill, that worked for me. And I think that's a strength of this movie.
Yeah, definitely. But then she runs for help and gets an axe thrown through a door.
Yeah, it's weird because it looks like the axe chops through the door, but then when she falls back, the axe is lodged in her. And like, how did that get off?
Right.
I mean, again, talking about like nitpicky stuff, but it's just like, no, she got axed. The end. Okay.
Yeah. So there's our person who we thought might be a final girl done out. Trish and Rob go to find Tommy because they're all worried about him. I love this because they find out he's okay. Jason rips down a power box, plunges the whole place into dark, and they're like, oh, we got to go find him. Promptly abandoning him again. So it's just like, you're cool? All right, we got to go. You're in the dark? Cool. Later. God.
I'm sure you can figure this out. It's fine.
Yeah, so they go over to the other house. Again, they're skulking around. He's got like this tiny knife, which had to have been on purpose. And then Gordon, the dog, which we haven't seen in a while, gets so freaked out, he jumps through a second-story window.
In slow motion.
And goodness, there are so many people jumping through windows in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. And during this time, Tommy finds our hero guy's Rob's stash of newspaper clippings.
Jason facts.
Yeah, Jason facts. And he's
his Jason FAQs.
Right. So he starts thinking to himself. And then we cut back to the other house where Rob and Trish are in the basement. And I got to say, I could see this going one of two ways, but Rob does get killed in the basement here. And he starts yelling, he's got me, he's got me, he's got me. But there is honestly something about the way that this is staged that actually I thought was really chilling. I think it's the far away camera on it. It's not a close up. It's just watching Jason struggle with this guy. And yes, he's yelling, he's got me, but that's kind of creepy.
He's
too.
killing me.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the impetus for this was a story that Joe Zito had. I don't know if it goes by Joe Zito, but it's just too fun to say Joe Zito.
Yeah.
But he read where someone was getting killed in like basically in broad daylight, like a Kitty Genovese situation and they were like, stop hurting me, stop killing me, and no one did anything. And like that's supposed to be this Trish like running away, but then coming back and
But yeah, like there is something about the blocking of that scene that really works for me because I don't know, it's just far away. It's her point of view.
You think this guy that's been hunting him is going to end up being something, and then he's just like, I wasn't expecting to be murdered,
right.
but I'm getting murdered.
We never think it's going to happen to us, you know?
Yeah.
So she runs away. Of course, Jason grabs her through the ankle. She hacks the wrist. She finds more bodies around. Again, this is the part that I was referring to earlier.
Well, we talked about Jason displaying bodies, and he really goes all out in this, like nailing Crispin Glover to the doorway.
That's the best one. Yeah.
Which is great, but like it shows you how little he's thinking about it because later when he's, he can't get through because of Crispin Glover. Oh,
yeah.
As someone who just did some housework where I had to like undo shit I did before, I feel you, Jason. Like, yeah, I should not have mounted the television. That is a pain in the ass to fix. Yeah. Do not mount Crispin Glover. He comes with a stand. Use it.
If he's displaying bodies, that also implies a certain level of like enjoyment of torment and things like that. So.
Well, there's a throwaway line in that Crystal Lake documentary that refers to him as Animal Plus.
Okay,
and I love that he is like he's not quite human, but he's smarter than the average bear, I guess.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite bits, though, is like the close up on the hand just getting like peeled out.
Yeah, this movie is interested in the gore and the pain of it versus I think the other ones, which were like much more carnival rides.
Some of the behind the scenes stuff showed like that was Crispin Glover hanging up there too.
Oh wow!
I'm sure there was some dummies involved at some point, obviously, but like. There's a shot of BTS stuff where he just like falls down and just runs up to the camera with a wild look in his eye. Like he's so excited to be doing this type of thing. And man.
Yeah.
So then we get to Trish going back. She barricades herself in with Tommy. And this is one of the best bits of the movie to me because there's the sequence of Jason tearing down the body. Obviously, the hand tears. Throws another body through the window, which is just we have to do that now.
Yeah, well, that's what I love is because there's always callbacks in these to like previous murders, something like that. And particularly with this one being the final one, they want to, bring some of that back. And in the first one, they threw the one counselor through the window. This like, how do you up the ante? Two windows. It goes through 2 windows.
Right, yeah. He manages to grab Tommy, of all people, and then he takes a hammer through the neck, spins around, and I love this shot so much. He just walks right through the door.
Yeah. Well, and in this, like, Corey Feldman has talked about, like, that scene where Jason leaps in and grabs from behind being terrifying. And apparently, Ted White purposefully blew his cue because he did not like Corey Feldman and was like, all right, I'm going to scare this kid. And I like that he was like, I'm going to terrorize this child. And I mean, it's a safe environment. It's all fine. But Corey was waiting for it to happen. It hadn't happened yet. And then
I think you waited a solid 15 to 20 seconds or so.
So that's a pretty genuine reaction you're getting from Corey Feldman there.
Yeah, and then there's some like chasing around upstairs and stuff like that. That's like, I don't know, it's fine. Nothing that we haven't seen really before.
Well, it's hard to you've spent no time with Trish. So it's not like you've watched this character like go through other stuff. And I mean, even Ginny, who's largely removed from the action in 2, by the time she gets back, like things have escalated. But you've spent time with her and kind of gotten to know her. And then like through her, she's talking about Jason. So you get that empathy thing. This is just this character that's just blonde and is around. So it's a little bit harder to be, other than you just, you've seen a lot of murders. You know what Jason can do. Boy, you'd hate to see it again.
Right.
Or should we make 9 more movies about this?
But then it's mainly just getting to this like final bit that I don't know. I love. So we get Tommy's been prepping for a while. He's been shaving his head.
Yeah, he's like, now is time for an extreme makeover.
Yeah, right. He shaves his head down. He puts on, he's wearing a bald cap with some stuff. I think he looks pretty gross. I don't want to like offend a child, but like, goodness. He looks terrible.
Well, I mean, he meant to look that way, so I don't think he'd take it.
I do like this bit though, because in part 3, it's pure brute force that beats Jason. In part 2, it's putting on the sweater to remember me, all that kind of stuff. And now we're getting back to that same tactic here with Tommy.
It still doesn't make much sense to me how he's like, you know what would get him if he saw what a freak he was.
Yeah.
But whatever, I'm on board with it because this is a weird kid that has the initial. We teased this earlier, and for those of you that don't know, there was an ending of this movie that was Tommy Jarvis being good at making inventions. Like took apart part of a microwave, and like you see him melting a toy soldier with it earlier, and he uses that to basically fry Jason's brain from the inside out, and Jason's head explodes.
Right.
Which, I mean, you want to make sure the guy's dead.
Could have been good.
You'd think that would do it. But I do like what they go with, though. It is impressive what they go with.
And what they go with is knocking off the mask, because of course we have to see him.
You got to see him.
Again, continuity. The last 3 days he's changed dramatically, but whatever. I don't care.
It's been a rough 3 days.
Right.
Hey,
totally.
Next time you die a couple times in 3 days, you can complain.
Tommy grabs the knife and hacks the side of his face, and Jason falls and slides down the blade, which is just so good.
Oh, and I like this story. They were really, the MPAA was really coming down on slash movies at this point, because there was this reaction, not just from Siskel and Ebert, but all over about like these things are too gory and violent, and won't someone think of the children? And there was this back and forth of like, all right, we'll cut some frames here, send it back, and then they'll get back to like, no, you got to cut even more. But they would like lose blood in other places because they wanted the Jason kill so bad. Because it is like what you want to see. You want to see Jason get his, and particularly if this is supposed to be the final thing, like let's glorify it. Let's hang out there for a bit.
I also love, what is it? Kill by the machete, die by the machete type of thing. Instead of doing a microwave and some sort of an elaborate trap, use the same weapon against Jason that he's been hacking up around. And I dig that.
No, I think it's great. And it's interesting also here, like, because, we've bandied about the phrase final girl a few times, how you're left with not just the final girl, but also the final boy and a young boy. Again, like I couldn't help think of another movie. The bit in Barton Fink where he's like, usually it's a girl or else a young boy. Yeah. What do you think, Barton? He's like, both.
Right.
But they go with both, and rather than have so often is with the final girl that she sort of like not necessarily takes on the persona of the killer, but she uses the killer's weapons against him, and often some phallic imagery there or whatever. But in this, like Tommy just full on becomes Jason, like not just in the try to fool him, but starts hacking away at him and screaming "die, die, die." And oddly enough, that it doesn't end there. It doesn't. He doesn't just go like, "Well, that was something." That happened.
Does each film end in a hospital scene?
Not a hospital scene, but it's usually like there's. This is the first one that doesn't end with a fake out, because there's one ends with Jason coming out of the water. 2 ends with where she thinks she's okay, and then Jason comes through the window. Paul might not be alive anymore. 3 ends with Betsy Palmer coming out of the water. This one just ends with her in the hospital bed, and no, this all happened, and little Tommy is there too.
Tommy gives a hug and stares directly into the camera,
dead-eyed,
in a menacing sort of way. But also, there was an alternate ending filmed that was supposed to be like a dream sequence type of thing, where Trish finds her dead mom upstairs in the bath with white eyes, and Jason's right behind her, which I don't know. I'm kind of glad that they just went straight for
not, out of everything else that happened in this movie, I wasn't like, whoa, what about the mom? Because she was kind of an identity. Yeah. Like, I like that family structure thing going on, and they seem very sweet and liked each other, but I didn't really think about where that body went.
I do enjoy the weird sense of we've dressed up a kid to kind of look like another Jason. That's kind of fun. That last look is kind of chilling. It works.
But it's also like this sort of reactionary, like, look, you spend too much time with this stuff. You're going to become a killer too. You get obsessed with horror movies and this stuff. It's only natural that you would become a murderer.
So now I think we should honor our dead with the In Memoriam. In Memoriam, Friday the 13th, Part 4. Coroner Axel, played by Bruce Mahler. Throat slashed with a hacksaw, neck broken. Nurse Morgan, played by Lisa Freeman, disemboweled with a scalpel. Hitchhiker, played by Bonnie Hellman. Neck impaled with a knife. Samantha, played by Judy Aronson. Stomach impaled with a knife. Paul, played by Clyde Hayes, stabbed in the groin with a spear gun and lifted. Terry, played by Carrie Moore, back impaled with a spear. Mrs. Jarvis, played by Joan Freeman, killed off screen. Jimmy, played by Crispin Glover, hand impaled with a corkscrew, face chopped with a cleaver. Tina, played by Camilla Moore, thrown through a second-story window. Ted, played by Lawrence Monison, head stabbed with a knife. Doug, played by Peter Barton, head crushed against shower wall. Sarah, played by Barbara Howard, chest struck with an axe. Rob Deere, played by Eric Anderson, stabbed with a garden claw repeatedly. And Jason Voorhees, played by Ted White, repeatedly slashed with a machete.
Final chapter. We're all done now, so I'm excited to see what movies we're going to do next. So
that was the final chapter. What's the next franchise? Yeah. Oh shit!
Part he's 5. Not dead. Oh
yeah. No, he's not dead. In fact, Jason lives. Part 5. Jason lives. Well, there's
a new beginning and then Jason lives.
You're totally right. You're totally right. It's a new beginning. My DVDs were out of order. Literally. But as usual, intended to be the last one. It made $35 million or something like that on a budget of $2 million. So you don't need to be a studio head to know that is a profitable endeavor. Yeah. So let's push through another one, and they did it within a year.
Yeah, and they only had and I saw that they had 6 weeks for post-production on this whole thing. which is
Jeez.
wild. Like that's a lot to try to construct this sort of thing. You know, we talked about in the first one how like they only had so much footage because they didn't have the money, but this is a big Hollywood production. There's all kinds of stuff that has to be done to make it right, to make it decent, and they had to rush through it. And like knowing that short window too made me kind of impressed that this ended up being something.
Completely. I mean, this one remains, I don't know. There's some later Jason ones that I actually are more of guilty pleasures, but when I think of like a good solid Friday the 13th movie, this is the one that I think of. I actually really like this one. It's
interesting. Like I said, like I'm a little torn on it because I do kind of enjoy the more funhouse ride of the previous ones. I mean, really only part 2 and part 3. The first one is a little bit more of a mystery, a little bit slower, but still they still have that same kind of vibe. But yeah, this one is a lot more brutal. You know, they went, well, we've brought in a new killer. We've made him 3D. What else can we do? And they went, well, let's actually hang out with the teens a little bit and up the gore. And it's a different direction. And I mean, it's, well, not different, but it's the same, but more so. And I don't think that's a bad thing for this franchise.
No. They, in a lot of ways, they're building to something like this. I'm sure Tom Savini was just like, oh, I get to go crazy on this.
But it's interesting because from here on out, like the only director to do 2 Friday the 13th was Steve Miner. But from here on out, it's a different director for every single one.
Well, I was going to say, from here on out, it might start to hurt a bit.
Right.
I mean, I think this could be our peak on Friday the 13th.
It was perfect for this kind of thing. Because, like, so you had, they thought they were killing Jason at the end of the third one. They had, Jason Death Day Cake. They went, well, okay, this is kind of going away, but let's do one more swan song. And now he's really done. And like I said, we've lost most of the original crew or the original people involved in this. So with having shed that, now what?
Right.
Now that this is stopped being like a labor of some people.
Where do you go?
Where does this go? I do see some names coming up again, like Martin Kitrosser. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes next and how much this will hurt.
Yeah, and it was not well liked by Siskel and Ebert again. I know we keep coming back to them, but at the same time, they were like the premier.
Yeah.
This was before film bloggers on the internet type of things. So
this is the only frame of reference I have for these movies. But in that Crystal Lake documentary, how Joe Zito was like, this was our version of Friday the 13th because like if they were creative in how they killed you, it was great. Like that's how I respond to the native critics because like we know what critics are going to say about this. But if they did it in a fun way, that felt awesome.
That's great. Right. Okay, well, that's part 4. Friday the 13th, part 4. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Now it's going to start to go a little sideways for a while, I think.
I've only, of the upcoming, 9 or whatever, not counting Freddy versus Jason, I think I've seen 1, maybe 2 of them.
Okay, well, yeah, you're going to hurt a bit.
I have not seen Jason go to space or hell. So then that's...
Oh, both of those are so good. I was saying earlier, when I have like weird caveats, like I enjoy those, but that's why I'm doing this.
when just that dead horse just...
Yeah, you're punching your dance card at this point. Like I just should see hell in space, but...
Yeah, I got to go through him living in New Blood, but yeah, it's going to be great.
All right. Well, hope everyone enjoyed this, and I hope to see you all next time. Jason Part 5.
Yes, the new beginning.
The new beginning. It will be a new beginning after all this, I think.
And for us, too.
Yeah, we'll do this right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
So long.
This has been a Two Penguins media production. It was produced by James Strayer and edited by John C. Myers. Logo by Ethan Kimberling and music by Michael Arthur Holloway, who you can find on Bandcamp. Follow us on Instagram at thismayhurtabitpod and on Twitter at hurtabit. Email us at thismayhurtabit@gmail.com. And if you are so inclined, rate and review us on your favorite podcast app, and we'll see you next time.